Hello, and welcome to Drone On, the only podcast in the air and on the airwaves. I am your host, Bryce Bladen, and today I'm joined by Rowan. Rowan, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and let them know why I'm talking to you?
Hey, I'm Rowan. I work at Spexi. I've been part of the project since March 2023, so I've been around for a little while. And I work predominantly on the LayerDrone protocol, decentralizing parts of the image collection network by a drone and thinking about the long-term utility of a token backing each network and how to make it transparent, trustworthy, reliable, broadly useful, not just specific to Spexi's needs, but something that would be a remarkable example of a data network owned by pilots.
Fantastic. All right. There are 9 immediate questions I have, but maybe we should start with you. And I would love to know either how you got into drones or how you got into this crypto stuff.
Didn't have any background in drones or crypto before I joined Spexi. I joined coming from a background in general cloud software engineering, and I joined Spexi because they needed someone with my skills and my background, but were pulling me towards hardware dependencies like building for drones and blockchain portions of this. So thinking about decentralized software and protocol. And those are things that I hadn't really done in my career. So I was curious to dabble. Yeah, it's been one of the more dense parts of my career. There's just so much to solve. It's a very broad it's broad and dense. It's wow.
So to be clear, the Spexi product does use blockchain. Do you know how long that's been the case?
The original design of Spexi as a platform did write things on smart contracts. And the launch that we did on April 8th, 2024, we were having trouble keeping up with some of the changes that we were trying to make leading up to that launch. Simply put, the pressure on rapid iteration was higher than the rate of change we were able to do with smart contracts. Smart contracts are not the easiest things to redeploy and change without incurring costs and migrating data from one contract to a new contract. And that's something that we learned early on in the project. And so we compromised and we decided to keep things centralized. No one was holding our foot to the fire in terms of decentralizing things all at once. So we just kept it all off chain, but we kept one contract lingering for flight receipts that acknowledge that people have done something that is either approved or rejected. And you can go look at the Explorer on Arbitrum Sepolia testnet, and you can go and see each pilot and their wallet and how many flights they've done on chain. So there is that component on chain, which is just more so a kind of symbolic piece to show everybody that we have intent to put an immutable record on chain for all of these activities that are being done in this, what we intend to be a marketplace. And I think it's been helpful for communicating with investors and advisors and lawyers and all the different people that are involved in building a crypto-enabled company that are beyond engineers.
Absolutely. You hit on a few things there that may require a little definition for some listeners. So just to be clear, blockchain, to put it simply, a way for people to transfer value with no one in the middle. And smart contracts would be a way to effectively automate things on a blockchain, whether that's payments, usage rights, uploads, things of that effect. A lot of what Rowan was talking about with the challenges there are, those have always been challenges in blockchain, to put it simply. It is basically a database that works slower, among other things. It's more secure as a result of that. But as a result of being slower, if you are working on an instantaneous network, a change I made 1 second ago, 10 seconds ago, 30 seconds ago, if anyone else is uploading in tandem, there are just all sorts of ways, and this is one of the key challenges in crypto, for those things to start to create conflicts within themselves. I actually have quite a bit of experience with overwhelming a crypto network, and thus, as a result, making everything on it not work anymore, which to my mind, Rowan, is roughly I guess the amateur version of what you were describing. Whereas when your smart contracts weren't working, maybe the product wasn't working great, but when my product was working in the Ethereum blockchain, I think I effectively blocked out everyone else for a good month. And this was back in 2017, by the way, so the blockchain has evolved quite a bit since then. But Rowan, you hit on some fantastic points there. The one thing I wanted to follow up on to see if it's really perhaps a little bit more than symbolic was the note that there is a smart contract still active. And if I heard you correctly, it is what is tracking reputation points, correct? So no. Okay, what is it?
Literally just an NFT representing a flight that says it's either approved or not. It's all we've been tracking. So whenever your data gets reviewed, we mint that NFT and we stamp it approved or not. and it just represents the output of our system so that there's a paper trail. But it doesn't represent RPs. It doesn't represent anything, really. It's a side effect of our system running centrally right now. But what is in development right now is a larger protocol. LayerDrone is a decentralized protocol that has multiple smart contracts working together that describe missions and funds that are escrowed so that somebody can go and claim the rewards for a mission by showing that they have a flight that they've done, and that flight is approved or rejected. And if it's approved, and you have at least one approved for a mission, then you're entitled to claim the rewards for that mission. And this is done on chain. So there's basically a much better paper trail that shows the interactions between parties. So somebody can pay for a mission, which puts the money in a contract that somebody else can come along later and claim if they've done the required work to get their flight NFT approved.
Very fair, very fair. So here's the real question. How do I take those NFTs and make a bunch of money off of them?
Your NFTs are...
That's a joke, by the way. The look in your eyes was very like, Jesus. So just to clarify, with for our audiences, NFTs, non-fungible tokens. You might have seen these in the news as a potential investment of sorts about 5 years ago. Not investment necessarily, but definitely a, for lack of a better way of putting it, interesting file type with some very meaningful consequences in blockchain. Blockchain prior to, well, late 2017, primarily used to transfer fungible value, money, things of that effect. At the end of 2017, the NFT standard was effectively introduced to the Ethereum blockchain via ERC 721. It was very novel. As a result of that novelty, a lot of people treated it as a potential investment in some very interesting ways that I don't agree with. And so that was a long-winded joke I have now spent explaining, and I'm hoping you heard some of my explanation between all your laughter, which I'm sure there was a lot of. But Rowan, what about crypto and what you are doing with LayerDrone either excites you or, to be honest, worries you? Like, the thing that I got really excited about was, despite that long-winded joke, knowing that Spexi uses NFTs and has not in any way, shape, or form ever thought to themselves, how can we get our pilots to pay for these? Or like, the team's approach to integrating crypto has been extremely thoughtful to me. There are a lot of ways to incorporate the technology and a lot of ways to create a narrative around it, for example. But I'll just leave it at that. What excites you? What worries you? Either side.
It's a very ambitious project. Like, it's exciting because it is truly like world scale in its ambition. Like, it's trying to define a standard for image collection via drone. So you want aerial imagery. We're trying to create the thing that lets whatever drone hardware go and perform the missions and be able to collect that data. And then on the other side, we want to enable any interested party to be able to say, hey, I want this data. Hey, I want these missions done in this area, and I want to be able to pay this much for those. And having that flexibility so that people can describe what they want, and different drone manufacturers may be able to satisfy those requirements. It's like a vessel for this network to grow from. And Spexi is the first participant, but it is not Spexi's alone. We're designing this in a way that we can use Spexi as inspiration for like a first representation of like how this could be done. But for example, like we currently have like an app, or two apps, one for DJI drones Mini 2s and then one for 3 and 4. And this is because DJI has 2 SDKs. And this creates a lot of complication for us. Like, we are maintaining an application, in my mind, essentially for DJI. We are maintaining DJI's applications for them so that people with DJI drones can participate in this network. But I'd like to imagine it being possible for other drone manufacturers to create their own app that lets people connect to this network and participate using their drones and their SDKs. And it wouldn't have to be up to, Spexi or LayerDrone to maintain these connections. Any drone manufacturer, if they want to sell drones and get people using their drones, they could create an app that participates in this decentralized network. If they want to give pilots a good reason to buy their drone, they would create an app on this network and allow people to participate.
Fantastic. And to just give a little clarification around the opportunity, I think Rowan's hinting at there. Currently, the LayerDrone network has a few hundred active pilots to a few thousand pilots on the network. But as far as the actual supply of DJI minis alone within North America, there are hundreds of thousands of them that are sitting unused in garages, closets, and things of that effect, to say nothing of just buying one new. And the ability to activate those pieces of hardware and to layer a service on top of that, it's a lot of potential for the manufacturers, it's a lot of potential for the consumers, it's a lot of potential for companies like Spexi that want to try and find some overlap between the two and scale accordingly. Rowan, we've only got a few more minutes left, but I want to keep digging into this with you. When it comes to crypto and what's going on here, are there any examples out there that you find inspirational, either for the right or wrong reasons?
Mm-hmm.
I have some on hand if you need them.
I'm not super well versed, but I do look at other DePIN projects to kind of get a sense of like what are others doing in the space, because that's what Spexi is helping to start with LayerDrone. It's a DePIN network, a decentralized physical infrastructure network, and that means that people are doing something real in the world that adds value and is worth paying for. And by decentralizing the unit of exchange, we can provide this common service across borders, and it's just a general standard for what the world needs. And so an example of that could be like internet access. And there's like a Helium network, which describes like, connection points that have some kind of signature in the hardware that they sell. You can go buy hardware units to go and create an access point for the Helium network. But then whoever goes to invest in that access point and install it by, negotiating with a restaurant owner or something and being like, hey, can I keep my access point in your restaurant? They make money token. They earn token for having it there and people using it to benefit and get internet access. So whoever's hosting this or chose to invest in the hardware gets to benefit. And similarly for us, like we are getting people who have their drones to invest into the network with their time and their hardware to go and get these images. And yeah, so there's definitely interest in like other crypto projects and how they've chosen to model like DePIN networks. Yeah, that's been my interest. I'm not really like interested in like the speculative kind of like crazy Solana, like meme coin frenzy, like that kind of stuff has never appealed to me. I find it horrifying what like kids are doing to each other. Like teenagers are getting into trading and just scanning each other, and it's like a game to them. And it's just like wild to me how people are using crypto to do like nefarious things because it's kind of obscure and like people can get away with it. But I think that there's much, much broader impacts of like deterministic, public, like transparent computing.
Absolutely. And that's extremely well said. I agree with your general perspective on crypto, by the way. I've heard it said that across all technologies, the innovation we keep coming back to is some form of sports gambling. And unfortunately, crypto has been a unfortunately fantastic technology for helping to catalyze that. Again, blockchain is really good for helping people transfer value with no one in the middle. So basically, anything where somebody's transferring value, that creates a new business opportunity if you somehow incorporate blockchain technology. What interests me so much about what Spexi is doing and why I agreed to work with the team in the first place was the thoughtful approach here. There are ways to do this wrong, there are ways to do this right, and there are ways to do this wrong but still make a lot of money. And I am very pleased to, from my perspective, see the Spexi team take the right approach from creating the nonprofit LayerDrone Foundation back in April 2025 to effectively decentralize their tech stack and empower the pilot community as a store of value, for like a better way of putting it, to all the work you're doing right now, Rowan. Now, we've only got a couple minutes, but I'm wondering, do you have time for our hit segment, Innovation or Idiotic? So what I'm going to do with you is I'm going to share 3 true-sounding tech-related stories.
All right.
And you're going to tell me which one is the lie. All right. We'll start with the city of Miami. Briefly experimented with paying parking tickets in Miami coin, but they had to abandon the program when the coin's volatility meant some people owed $5 in tickets that turned into $500 debts overnight. Story 2, CryptoKitties, the blockchain cat breeding game, actually caused such severe network congestion on Ethereum in 2017 that it slowed down the entire blockchain and increased transaction fees across all Ethereum applications, sometimes in the thousands of dollars, if not more. Topic 3, New York City briefly had a coin called NYC Coin created on behalf of Mayor Eric Adams to fund public works projects. 2 of these stories are true. 1 of them is a lie. Which one do you think it is, Rowan?
Third one's a lie.
Third one's the lie. Guess who made NYC coin, my man?
Really?
Me and Eric Adams. Not me and Eric Adams, but
You know what?
yeah, he was involved.
That one lacked specific.
That's kind of why it didn't turn into it kind of just cratered. No, actually, the lie was the city of Miami and Miami coin. Both true. Technically, I was involved, but you could never actually pay parking tickets with it.
Okay.
The coin did have some volatility issues. Same issue as NYC coin. And honestly, the same issue a lot of crypto projects have, which is maintaining their value. When something is effectively decentralized, that means that anyone can access it. And unless there are guardrails or points of friction to prevent people from being a bad actor, people are going to try and acquire your token and sell it as fast and as much as possible, unless you put that thoughtfulness in. Rowan, thank you for handling my little game I caught you with. If folks want to learn more about you or just keep abreast of what you're doing, how should they do so?
Spexi.com.
Spexi.com it is. All right, give it up for the sponsor, Rowan. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best.
Great. Thanks for the interview.
Thanks for listening to Drone On. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to get a new episode every week. And leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. You can learn more about our sponsors at Spexi.com, that's SPEXI.com, and LayerDrone.org. Find out how you can contribute to the world's largest drone imagery network too. Thanks again for listening.